Good morning, everyone. We will call the Economic Development Committee to order. First on the agenda, we have the IDA, Ms. Jody Oka. Oh, you're so nice. Thank you. I tried. That's right. Would you bear?
Good morning.
Good morning, Jody.
I submitted our regular report, and I think you got a summary of the Champlain Valley milling project over at the former Old Adirondack building, which I'm asking for approval on this morning. I did bring Sam Sherman, the owner of Champlain Valley Milling, with me this morning in case you had any questions or wanted to hear from him on the project and what his plans are or anything like that.
Okay, on that note, would someone care to move the resolution, the approval of the 10-year pilot program, moved by Mr. Jerry Morrow, seconded by Mr. Moore? I would offer the opportunity if anyone would like to ask questions. Mr. Sherman is here. It's up to members of the committee. Any other questions for Jody pertaining to this? Being none on the resolution, all those in favor? Opposed? Resolution carries. Thank you. Any other
questions on
information? Loans are doing okay. Life is good. Mr. Politi.
Jody, I'm curious, what is the default on Normandy Beach Club? How much is the default?
Low 20s, 22,000 maybe.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And in those cases, we have two defaults in Westport. One is obviously the golf course, and the second is Normandy. And we are pursuing the golf course guarantors because there's 5 or 6 that actually own the corporation that operate the golf course. And Normandy, the board is, it's on the agenda to be reviewed at their March meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Because of the bankruptcy.
Yeah, I noticed the bank did it in. I was just curious.
Yeah. It puts us in, for Normandy, it puts us in a very unusual position because with the bankruptcy, we're actually an unsecured debtor at this point.
Further questions or comments for Jody? Being none, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Wonderful, wonderful. Next up, Mr. Mascarenas. Good morning.
We do have 3 referrals this morning. The first referral is from Mr. James Shannon of the town of Essex. The request is for an area of variance and a special use permit at 11 Orchard Street, Essex, New York. The request does not have an adverse impact on county property, and a letter of no comments recommended on that.
Thank you. Do I have a mover, Mr. Politi? Second by Mr. Moore on the requested project. Questions or comments? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
We have a referral from Miss Ellen Dalton of the town of Essex. The request is for a special use permit at 2 Beggs Point in Essex. The request does not have an adverse impact, and a letter of no comment is recommended.
Someone care to move? Mr. Politi, second by Mr. Tyler. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
The last one is a referral from Robert and Beryl Berardi. The request is for an area variance. The request does not have an adverse impact on county property, and a letter of no comment is recommended on that.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Tyler. Seconded. Going once by Mr. Depot. Thank you. Comments, questions? Being none. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion does carry. moving along.
Okay. I do have a resolution this morning that wasn't in my report. I apologize for that, but I was awaiting state approval prior to awarding the RFP. So I have a resolution to award an RFP to ESPC Engineering in the amount of $234,148. This is part of the funds awarded to the towns of Jay and Keene that are managed by Essex County for the community rising projects that total $9 million. So there's no local match on that. It's totally grant covered.
To be moved by Mr. Depot, second by Mr. Marnell. Comments or questions? Being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
I do have just a couple quick grant announcements. You probably saw them in our report. Smart Growth grants have been released. Those are available to those municipalities that are within the park. So all of you do qualify for Smart Growth funding. The minimum is $5,000 to a maximum of $75,000, and they're due on March 31st. I did attach a more detailed explanation of that, but if it's something you feel like you're interested in, I know I've spoke to some of you, give me a call and we'll get those mandatory documents in front of you that you need to pass at your local boards in order to maintain eligible. Invasive species is another one. I know this is a large interest. We haven't saw much of this in the past. So DEC does have a request for applications for invasive species. There is a 50% match required on those particular grants, with the minimum being $11,000, the maximum being $100,000. Again, I've talked to a handful of you, and I know that there is some interest out there, but if you haven't talked to me about it, let me know. Those are due March 24th. And I know a lot of you have been asking me about the water grants with EFC. It's our understanding those are going to be released rather quickly. It's a bit of a moving target, so I don't want to give you any details. It's changed in each and every round that they've offered those grants. So we'll let you know exactly when those come out. But if you're looking to be prepared, what you would want to do is try to become SERP certified, which is State Environmental Review Process. It will help you be eligible. So in order to be eligible, you need to pass a bond resolution, you need to have historic preservation sign off, and you need to complete your seeker documentation. We can help you with all of that. That'll give you a leg up for certain if you're looking to apply for those funds. Again, please just give me a call.
Mr. Scuzabala.
Mike, is that still the 25%, or there's some that are 100% funded?
Well, that's what I was just saying, Mr. Scottsbaba. It's a bit of a moving target. Last round, they funded a maximum of 60% for water, and they funded 25% grant for sewer, which traditionally we haven't saw much grant money in the way of sewer at all. So I'm hesitant to give you exact numbers until I see what they are, because before it was 75%, you're right. So it's varied from year to year, from round to round.
I was always confused on the bond resolution that they require. I mean,
it's the total amount of the project.
Total amount of the project.
Because grant money spent last. You're essentially bonding it all up front, and then at the end, they're implementing, when you go to long-term, those grant dollars.
And of course, you're bonding through EFC, so
That's correct.
So the only obligation is when you finally sign the dotted line. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions, comments for Michael? Mr. Harrington.
Would you provide more information in regards to the invasive species and DECs?
Yep, I did attach the page 3 and 4 of my report has a more detailed explanation of what the criteria is in that report, Mr. Harrington. It's pretty well done.
Other questions, comments? I think it's a great opportunity now that DEC is recognizing the invasive species problems, because I know all municipalities here in Essex County are addressing those issues now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So we appreciate your help.
On the Youth Bureau side, I know yesterday's weather doesn't have people thinking much about summer, but it's time to start thinking about those types of things if you're going to be running a day camp, being that there's several trainings that have to happen in order for people to get their permit and be able to open their day camp. We have scheduled our responding to emergencies training and our lifeguard training. I did give you the flyers for that. They will be sent separately to your town and will be sent also to the schools. So I could encourage you, if you want to look at hiring at least your leadership positions soon. You don't have to have everybody in place, but that responding to emergencies training is probably the most critical, and it's where towns have struggled the last few years in meeting Department of Health's mandates. The reason is we particularly teach the CPR for the professional rescuer in our training, and most others do not. And that's where people are getting hung up when they're trying to reach their qualifications, because you have to have at least 2 of those folks at your day camp that are trained in CPR for the professional rescuer. We recommend 3, but 2 is mandatory by Department of Health in order to meet that. So any questions on that, please give me a holler. I'll be happy to help you out.
Thank you.
Mike, those first aid and the CPR courses, they're just, even though they're a 2-year certificate, they still have to take it every year, correct?
That's correct. It's been a bone of contention with the board and myself in particular the last few years. People get confused about that because their card says they're certified. The certification professionals say that certification lasts 2 years, but Department of Health doesn't recognize that. I think really what's that doing? It's costing municipalities more money, having to do recertifications on an annual basis when the people providing the certification actually say it's fine. So to me, the professionals say it's fine, then why aren't we following their standards and guidelines? I don't know.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Michael?
I have one last thing. I just want to let you know we have a Youth Bureau Committee meeting on March 6th. The last 2 years in March, we've been reserving Department of Health. They've been coming to those meetings to help towns get their safety plans done and walk them through it. I think that's been very helpful. We have more timely responses, and they've shown up to help us out with that. So that relationship's improved a little bit. So I encourage anybody to attend or send your youth rep to that meeting, and we get a head start on getting those items in. That's all I have.
Thank you, Michael. Again, any other comments or questions for Michael? Being none, thank you very much for all your help. Next, we have our historian with us today. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. You have my full report. I just want to elaborate on a couple of things. First, exhibit development is coming along nicely. We are working on the Hiking in the High Peaks exhibit, an exhibit on women's suffrage, and also a photography show in our Rosenberg Gallery that will be photography of the High Peaks. We're really excited about that. Our lecture schedule is nearly finalized. I should have the list of titles and dates for you next month. And we are adding a film series to our program. We're happy about that. It should be 4 showings relating to women's suffrage. And we expect to have that once a month from June to September, likely on Thursday nights that we're not having a lecture. On that note, we are fortunate to have received a New York State Humanities Vision Grant to help plan and gather materials and stories, and we've been working with area groups and individuals to do this. I gave you all a flyer, and I can email you all this too. Basically a call out for artifacts, stories, anybody, descendants, anybody that has information, local information, and we will incorporate all that into the exhibit that we're working on. So it'd be great if you could hang these up or pass it along to people you might think can contribute. And finally, just a quick note, the mini conference is coming up. Again, it's fairly local. It's in Saratoga Springs, April 2nd to the 4th. It's a great conference. If you want any information, just contact me. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Laura.
You're welcome.
Very busy spring ahead.
It'll be great. I think it'll be a great season, yeah.
Any questions or comments? The director?
Chairs.
The chairs.
Chairs. We have the old chairs that were left over, we replaced the supervisors' chairs. Does the museum have any interest in the chairs, or?
Oh, we certainly would. Yeah, thank you for thinking of us. That'd be great.
Careful of Mr. Gillibrand, so.
Mr. Gilliland's broke.
Well, good.
But, yeah.
Shall we, how do we coordinate?
Well, you can
to
tell
do
me how many you
that?
want, or
Yeah.
what you want, and then...
We'll take the rest.
No, but in the collection, there's chairs number 1 through 12 that were actually the jurors' chairs.
Oh, yeah.
In the old, when this was a courtroom, so,
Oh, wow.
and they're all numbered.
Great. Great, yeah, thank you very much.
I was always juror number 4.
Right. All right. Thanks.
Rick from Cooperative Extension was not able to make it because of the weather this morning, so we will move to Mr. McKenna. He made it down through the snow-covered wilderness.
Did you really? Will do.
I woke up this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, James.
Morning.
Just run through this chart real quick.
More data.
More data, simple one. What this reflects, this is from what's called Smith Travel Research. It's an organization that works directly with the hotel industry, and literally, hotels sign up for this service, but what it is, it's the instrument that hotels use to evaluate how they do with their competition and to keep abreast of what's going on. So this report in Essex County represents 68% of the rooms in Essex County report to this organization, and no private rentals are included in this. But I thought it was good to take a look at, because last winter, January through March, if you look at this, we're running about 11% down in occupancy and about 6% down in room revenue. And then if you look at the bottom chart graph, that basically shows the full year comparison, 2015 to 2016. And we pulled, you can see at the end, we ended up doing okay. We ended up doing really well by the end of the year, and I think that was a combination of, certainly, once we got into past the winter season, we had a large amounts of meetings and conventions, and we had a large amount of events, and we had a large amount of leisure travel. You look at things like the Leadville in Wilmington, or all along Lake Champlain, all the bass fishing, all the fishing tournaments that happen, certainly that affects things. But, overall, if you look at compared to New York State, compared to upstate or the U.S. as a whole, our numbers reflected very well. So I think that's just a good indicator. And of course, as we know, it's those expenditures, not only lodging, but when lodging's up, restaurants up, and retail's up as well. So all those affect the sales tax revenues as we look forward to it. So I wanted to point that out. Secondly, I wanted to point out this was the 7th year where our county hosted the Empire State Winter Games. In 2010, just before Thanksgiving, the state backed away and said they weren't doing it anymore. We picked it up, and that first year we ran it, which was the 2011 games, we had 858 registrations. This year we had just over 2,300 registrations, and we've extended it beyond the weekend. And that's where you have the impact when you go beyond the Friday and Saturday nights. So it's a Thursday night start. We're looking at next year of getting things going on a Wednesday. That's when it has really effect on it. Another thing I want to comment on, certainly the Canadian exchange is certainly still out there and affecting things, but also there's now more confusion crossing the border, and I think we should be aware of that too, is that there's, with everything's going on about entering the country, that is affecting things. There's been some news articles on it. I don't know if you've seen them even on Channel 5, how people have been held up. We've even gotten some direct inquiries in our office saying that they traditionally come down to our region for the summertime. They're putting it on hold right now. They're just saying that, so just keep that in mind. And then finally, I passed around, I started there a booklet on the World University Winter Games, which we had an observers group go there. We spent 4 days there this past month, and the World University Games are very similar in stature to the Olympic Games with the number of athletes, the number of countries, the delegations, and it's a 2-week event, and it's something that's manageable for our region. So we're looking at that strongly. What does that do and why is that important? Well, looking at that, I'm just going to sidebar. On the way over, we stopped. We had a 7-hour layover in Frankfurt, and we also had the president and the secretary general of another organization called the International Children's Game met with us at the airport. We're looking at that event for 2019, which is smaller. It's about, I think, 24 countries, 50 cities, 700 children athletes, 12 to 15. But again, it's an international event. We're also now looking from another possibility is that we're just starting to look at for 2019 is called the Special Olympics World Winter Games. Another thing, 3,000 athletes, over 100 countries, 2-week event. And then the World University Games will be 2023, and that is usually, it's rough. I think in Almaty they had 57 countries. It's gone as high as 60 countries, 2,000 to 3,000 athletes, 2-week period, and again, very similar to the Olympic Games. Why do these things? Well, first of all, they're international in nature, and they sort of reestablish this region as a site for international sport. The World University Games were televised live on Eurosport and throughout all Asia, so that's a marketing tool we can't buy anywhere else. And it also gives us a path for those dated sports facilities in North Elba. It gives us a path on how to recreate them and renew them. If we look now at the winter sports facilities in the world, you look at Almaty, which we're just at, the brand new facilities. You look at places like Park City, Calgary, Vancouver, and others. There's many more out there, St. Moritz. Our things are dated and old, and it's a little bit not untrue saying that our county is the winter sports capital of the world because our facilities are quite dated. And if you look at these other ones out there, we've got to, if we're going to maintain that reputation internationally, and we do get a fair amount of international business and international reputation from those things, we have to recognize we have to position ourselves in a little different manner, and we have to give reasons to get these venues back in shape. So that's sort of the goal here over a 10-year period, is to position us so we have a path to go, so we maintain that international recognition and sports competition.
Thank you, James. Now, we're in competition for those 2019?
Well, for 2019, we're the ones that have entered the dialogue. There's nobody else bidding, because how these international groups are doing it now is they, rather than have a lot of bid cities where they have losers and people mad, they're trying to enter dialogues with areas that can handle them to try to bring it to conclusion. So we're at that point right now.
Good, thank you. Mr. Preston.
So for the FISU Games, the World University Games, how many athletes and how many do they figure, family, support, all the above?
Well, there's, this year's event, what do you say, between 2,000 to 3,000 athletes, and there's another couple thousand of support people, and they estimate, although we haven't seen the numbers yet, about 30,000 visitors over that 2-week period.
Really?
Yeah. That gives us, I think, Randy, especially for your town at the base of the mountain, an opportunity to really look what can happen there to Hell's athletes and everything, because you need Olympic villages and everything else, or athlete villages.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Monty.
Yeah, most of these venues are state-owned, am I correct?
No, they're owned by the town of North Elba.
Town of North Elba.
Well, actually, most of them are. Whiteface is owned by DEC.
So is Roby dig into his pockets to help us upgrade those finances?
We own everything.
Okay.
Everything but Whiteface.
Including the Olympic sector as well?
We own Van Hovenberg and ski jumps,
And the Olympic Center.
Olympic Center.
Speed skating.
Oval, half the oval.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Scarlett.
Didn't we applied, right, for money through the, what do they call the grants now? I can't even remember. Yeah. Well, we weren't successful.
North Country Economic,
Right. We were not successful.
not successful yet.
Yet, we should be. I mean, that's just as vital to this county as the airport in Plattsburgh is to Clinton County. And I see they received.
You know, the key, as Jim said, the key to sustaining our mission is the upgrade quality of the venues, and they've been allowed to deteriorate to a point where they're second class in nature.
And these events give us that focus to accomplish it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't put these events on without upgrading these facilities.
Thank you. Further comments, questions for Mr. McKenna? Being none.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. It looks like we're good for the President's Weekend, at least for skiing conditions. That's a big, anything further to come before the committee this morning? Being not, we stand adjourned. Thank you.